we're talking about the AeroPress and one of my favorite recipes and how to get 2 different brews out of it, one hot and one ice. I just absolutely love this recipe, and it is by far my favorite when I'm brewing with the AeroPress. If you have a really fruity coffee, then this is basically a fruit explosion. Seriously, it's the best. So the AeroPress is one of my favorite brewers and was one of the first devices I got when I was getting into manually brewing my own coffee many years ago. So if you're just starting off on your journey or you're a seasoned veteran at this coffee craft, I think you will have some fun with these recipes in this video. So what makes the AeroPress so great? Well, I'm definitely not the first to say this, but I believe that the AeroPress is perfect for beginners and also great for those who have been brewing for many years. You see, the AeroPress is one of the few devices that you don't need extra equipment, such as a gooseneck kettle. But if you're in the market for a gooseneck kettle, I recently just made a video for that, so go check it out. The AeroPress is one of the most forgiving brewing devices if you don't have a scale to weigh out your coffee. Now, for this video, I will be using measurements, but if you don't have a scale at home, you can still take some of the principles I'm using and try it out for yourself. So, let's get started. My recipe is a slight modification of the World AeroPress Championship recipe from 2019 by Wendelin Van Bunik. I actually did a recent interview with her on my podcast, Freshly Brewed, the coffee podcast for homebrewers. You should go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But this recipe works great for lightly roasted fruity coffees. While it may not be your everyday recipe because of the amount of coffee used, I love using this recipe when I want a nice, flavorful cup of coffee. One thing I should add when we're talking about the World AeroPress Championship recipes, well, if you go to the website, you will see some absolutely crazy recipes. From using chopsticks to stir, huge grind sizes, adding in room temperature water at the end, and odd timings of different pours. It's pretty insane. You see, the way the World AeroPress Championships work is that you all have the same coffee, and so you have several people competing on a completely even playing field. You have to be able to differentiate yourself for the judges, and this is where the crazy recipes have come into play. Let's get back to the recipe. So this recipe calls for 30 grams of coffee. Now, I know that's a lot of coffee, especially when you see how much we're actually going to brew, but trust me, it is worth it. Plus, you're going to get a beautiful AeroPress puck when we're finished brewing. 30 grams of coffee, and we are going to grind this fairly coarse. If you think about a traditional French press grind, this is what you're going for, or maybe slightly finer, but this coarse grind is going to allow for a nice, even extraction and pull out a lot of the flavor from the coffee. Our water, we're going to heat up to 195 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a lot lower water temperature than you would normally do for a pour over or an immersion brew such as a French press, but with the combination of immersion and pressure, the temperature is perfect for some nice coffee extraction. Before we begin to pour water onto our coffee, I want to go ahead and get my filter and AeroPress cap ready. I personally prefer 2 AeroPress filters when brewing. I find that I get a bit more clarity and tasting some of the complexity in the coffee, while also having a completely smooth coffee experience. And as many of us learned recently from the king of coffee himself, James Hoffman,
put a paper into the paper holder. There's no need to rinse your filter paper here.
Now that we have everything set up, we're going to do our brew in a couple different steps. So I prefer the inverted method when brewing, but you can really do it either way. Do whatever suits you. We're going to add 60 grams of water to the AeroPress, then stir vigorously for 10 to 20 seconds. I found that there's really no difference in your brew within that range. Next, let's add 100 grams of water to the rest of the AeroPress. You should have a total of 160 grams of water inside the AeroPress. Next, we're going to place the filter and cap on the AeroPress and squeeze out all the air. Now, we're going to wait for 1 minute. While you're waiting, if you're enjoying this video, then like this video and subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when the next coffee video is released. It just helps support the channel and get content out there for more people like you who are trying to level up their home brewing game. Let's get back to the AeroPress. Our 1 minute timer is up, so it's time to flip the AeroPress onto our carafe and slowly press down. Your press should be about 30 to 45 seconds as you extract the coffee. And once you've fully extracted the coffee, go ahead and look at that beautiful masterpiece of a puck that you created. It's time to add water to taste. Right now, you basically have a concentrate of coffee, so we're going to dilute it a little bit. I usually begin by adding 75 grams of water and taste my coffee. If I like it, I leave it. but this method leaves a little room for different coffees. Before we wrap up, we need to do the iced version of this as well. Let's back up a bit while we're getting ready to flip the AeroPress and extract the coffee. You can do this with any ice, but I prefer larger chunks of ice. It creates a little bit less dilution and keeping the coffee ice cold. I have this nice little ice tray that I bought from a department store that allows me to create ice cubes that contain about 85 to 90 grams of water. I'm going to go ahead and carefully place this in my carafe. Please be careful, because you can break your carafe by just plopping it in there. Now we're going to press and extract the coffee on top of this ice. And by doing this, it ensures that we lock in the flavors of coffee, trapping that complexity and clarity that we are seeking from this recipe. If you wait to add ice, then your cup is going to be much less complex and not as tasty. I don't know the science behind this, but based on my experience, this is definitely the case. Now, here's the tricky part. Since we're using a large ice cube, it's not going to melt all the way. I find that usually about half the ice melts, so we still need to dilute our brew a bit. I'm going to add 20 grams of water, taste, and then repeat as needed. Just remember, no recipe, no coffee recipe is one size fits all. You do you. Okay, well, there you have it. One recipe, two different tasty and fruity brews. Let me know in the comments what you think of this recipe. Have you tried something similar? Did you know about the AeroPress Championships and why they have all these wild and crazy recipes? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and if you haven't liked this video and subscribed to the channel, please do so. Also, check out my podcast interview with the inspiration behind this wonderful little recipe.